Welcome back, everyone, to my demon and his bride, my Hellverse painting from my book series. My two main characters, my OCs. Please don't steal. Sorry, I had to. Everybody has their OCs, but these are based on, and I think I went over this in the last video. These are based on the mythical archetypes of the devil, Satan, Lucifer, specifically Nergal from the Babylonian pantheon, and Ereshkigal. I just decided to say, hey, what if I wrote a couple books, working on the third right now, where the devil, or what we believe is the devil, and Hades, Lucifer, Apophis, every dark demonic underworld type creature was actually all based on one being. So that's kind of what this is with the design, which is why I kind of have cultural references from like European design, some Asian stuff with kind of the fang overbites like a Japanese oni I kind of wanted to do. Same with the horns. Just kind of a little bit of everything. So anyway, beyond the whole nerd aspect of the artwork, as you can see here, I am doing everything in black and white. Personally, I like to draw everything in grayscale. It kind of came from my early childhood and teen years of drawing, starting with pencil. For those of you that don't know, pencils were these things that we used back in the 80s before computers were around to draw on this stuff called paper. It was a physical, traditional medium that you actually, had to know how to draw for real before AI came along. I'm not going to rip on AI again. I did that for the last two videos in a row. It's just too easy at this point. Anyway, yeah, so from drawing with pencil and then eventually moving to inks because I got really into comic books like all kids. I spent a lot of time redrawing Spawn comic covers. I think I mentioned that too. Darkness, Witchblade, X-Men, but mostly because of Wolverine, X-Force kind of stuff. Yeah, I just kind of stuck with the black and white style. A lot of people, when they moved to digital, kind of changed up how they translated their traditional drawing style to digital tools. So I am using I don't know the model number. It's an Intuos, not how you pronounce it, Wacom tablet with one of these smacking. It's almost like ASMR now. You can hear that. Digital pen with they got these like plastic nubs you can replace because when you're actually using a digital pen, there is wear and tear on the nubs and you have to replace them. Same with the tablet. And the tablet I have actually my wife gave me because I have one of the smaller plug-in ones, but I have a Bluetooth tablet now. So I know it works pretty good. I was thinking about getting one of those touchscreen things, but I don't know. I feel like I can still get the same work done. Maybe it's not as easy as getting one of those tablets that kind of do everything for you nowadays. But yeah, I basically, the approach I take is just like if I was drawing with pencil. I shade everything in, the dark areas first, and then go to some highlights. Usually what I see a lot of people do, and depending on the project I'm working on, I'll lay down foundational shadows all over the image. But in this case, oh yeah, here, censor bars. Yeah, that's right, because you can't show nudity on YouTube unless you get it okayed somehow, even though it's artistic nudity. I don't know, I've seen a little tangent. I've seen these try-on haul videos where basically it's you literally you see everything, and I mean everything that these models are showing through sheer fabric. So I figure if they can show pretty much full-on nudity, I don't see why I should have a problem. Maybe the next drawing I do, I won't censor it. We'll see. I don't know if that gets flagged or not. I'll do an artistic. I'll do a try-on haul painting video. see how that goes. Oh man. Anyway. Oh man. Where was I? Yeah. Oh, shading. So yeah, with shading, in this case, I wanted to just get his face done because I spent a lot of time working on the finer details first. As opposed to doing a whole image. I'm very indecisive. I'm one of those artists that doesn't stick to one area. Like, typically, if someone else was painting this, they would get him done completely and then move on to her. Like, I got her done first, moved on to him. Now I'm going back to her and drawing the horns in. And I'm going red here because I'm just getting a basic horn shape in. I didn't have it drawn in completely yet, so you can see me pretty much basically just sculpting in some horns. I do everything, in case you haven't seen my first video or even the second one. I use a lot of blue line and red line. I like blue line for doing like gesture lines and kind of brainstorming a pose. Red line for getting like the muscle structure and the form down. So, pretty much, like with this one, I used red for the horns to kind of make it stand out so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And as soon as I get the shape that I like, because that's all drawing is, you're basically just drawing shapes. Whether it's people, animals, lions, tigers, bears, oh my, robots, vehicles, transformers. It's just shapes. When you think of art as just manipulating shapes, it becomes a lot easier. Well, for me anyway, I will say that kind of focusing too much on the small details takes a lot longer, which is what I used to do. So now I kind of just look at the bigger picture and worry about the details afterwards. Unless I'm drawing faces, apparently, because then I spend way too much time on it. Way too much time on a face. So yeah, I don't remember, but I think the rest of this video I just spend drawing her horns in and getting the shading down and getting the details down. Don't remember if I work on her hair or not in this one. But yeah, here we go, see. So for harder surfaces, I do use a harder brush. So like horns would be like made out of bone or metal or some kind of rougher material. When it comes to skin, like if you can kind of see on her face right there, or when I zoom out, I use a brush at about maybe 0% hardness. It's a completely soft brush because I like to get that nice even blend of shadows down. So then if there are harder shadows, I can go in with a harder brush and just kind of define the shadows a little bit more. Either shadows or lighting. It depends really. But I always start soft, go harder. Like I said, just depending on the surface. And again, it's just my technique, it's my style. I go for more of a painterly look, even though it's digital. My issue with a lot of digital art, especially when I was starting out, was that too much digital art looked very flat, I guess you could say, very cut and paste. There was a lot of fantasy companies or a lot of artists that did fantasy trading cards where, I mean, the details were great, the lighting was great, but the edges were so sharp. And when you look at stuff in real life, I mean, depending on your eyesight, obviously, not everything's going to have super sharp edges. In gaming, they call it anti-aliasing. Not everything's going to have anti-aliased or aliased edges. It's going to be kind of softer. So usually after I'm done painting stuff, or when I'm done with the entire thing, I think in the last video on this I show it, I use the blur tool around all the edges, and I just kind of blur the edges a little bit to give it a more kind of softer, classic painterly kind of look. Yeah, so you can see here I'm still drawing those horns in, getting the highlights down. It's not that exciting, honestly. It's it's one of those things where for me drawing is kind of meditative since it's such a tedious process. And this is about the time I usually listen to audiobooks or listen to music. I think in this case I was listening, oh god, what was it? I was listening to Cradle of Filth and Flesh God Apocalypse. Yes, I'm a metalhead, in case you couldn't tell by the art that I do. I listen to metal. A lot of death metal and black metal. I think latest band I got into was Orbit Culture, and my wife and I saw them a couple months ago, and they were pretty awesome. Well worth it. If you guys like kind of, I want to call them like death thrash almost. Basically, they're doing Metallica, but better than Metallica nowadays. Even the lead singer, which I got to meet, a really cool guy, admits Metallica is one of his biggest influences, but they sound original enough. I definitely recommend checking out Orbit Culture. They're an awesome band, and we got tickets later on this year to go see. Oh God, who was it? We're seeing Flesh God Apocalypse, which we missed because of COVID in 2020, and they're playing with a band I recently discovered a couple months ago called Shadow of Intent. That's right. I was listening. I was listening to what was the album? I think it's called Melancholy by Shadow of Intent, and they're kind of like a mix between Flesh God and Dimmu Borgir. Definitely an awesome band. Love the mix of kind of blend of death metal, black metal, and some kind of orchestral kind of stuff. So yeah, I listen to a lot of metal when I'm drawing. It kind of puts me in the mood, gets me in the zone. I don't know what you guys do, but it's one of those things where if I don't listen to anything, I get bored, I'm not going to lie. If not, definitely I'll have audiobooks on. In the middle of rereading The King in Yellow. It's a cosmic horror, and well, not anthology. It's a cosmic horror novel with several stories that kind of tie into each other. I think there's about 7 of them, and it's a huge... It was an influence on H.P. Lovecraft for a lot of his work. Definitely, if you like Lovecraftian cosmic horror, check out The King in Yellow. Written in a very, very 18th century-ish Gothic style. It's not very modern, which I like, personally. I'm not a fan of modern writing. I find modern writing a bit too simple, and that's not to sound pretentious. It doesn't mean I like everything to be as hard as possible to understand, but I like stuff that's a bit more challenging. Oh yeah, I do work on her hair here. That's right. So to get back to the actual artwork, as you can tell, I like metal and horror, and I'll probably be talking about a lot of metal and horror in more of my upcoming videos. Since talking about the actual drawing itself can it can get a little tedious, I'm not gonna lie. But with hair, as you can see, I do basic shapes, so I have about 3 or 4, let me see, 1, 2, about maybe 4 hair layers, 2 sitting on top of her layer, 2 sitting underneath between her and his layer, so that way I don't have to worry about like cutting specifically around the hair and work. I just work on different layers, and I figure, you know what? I if you can see on the side of the screen, I'm not sure if it showed up or not. I color code my layers, so since she's blonde, I made her hair layer yellow, and I have a bad habit sometimes of not labeling a layer what it actually is. It'll be like layer 89 or layer 43. So that's a personal thing. I have to try to start labeling my my layers a little bit better. But yeah, with hair, I literally set a brush to about, I don't know, like 75% hardness, and I'll change the size and shape as you can see here, and I just scribble literally by getting hair strands. I'll go super dark for fine strands, and then I'll kind of shade in areas where the hair would have shadow. I just keep doing that. I really have no technique for it other than scribbling, I want to say, in the same direction that hair would be falling, and then doing that with the burn tool and then the dodge tool so you can get the highlights in. So yeah, I just kind of do that back and forth until I get a base that I like, because once I have the hair base that I like, then I will draw strands over it, kind of in a lighter brush setting. I think, oh yeah, I'm doing it right here with it's like a, what is it, 40% opacity or 50% with the brush. And it looks terrible in the beginning, like her hair looks cut out, but with enough of the brush kind of going on, and then the fact that I do blur the hair edges, once it's all said and done, it does look more like real hair. And those layers where you see that they're kind of like cut one on top of the other, I draw a lot of those extra kind of hair fine lines. So it's like I said, it's just layering stuff over itself. Everybody has different ways they do hair. Hair was one of the hardest things for artists to get down in the beginning, especially for me. So it was also the thing that I spent the most time on, because whatever is the hardest for you is what you should practice the most. And now that, since hair was the hardest thing for me, I don't really have to worry about practicing hair too much. I have it down to a science on how to do hair, especially straight hair, wavy hair. Curly hair is kind of harder. Maybe if I do a drawing with curly hair, I'll get to that. But yeah, you can see already it's coming into shape, coming into form. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed just seeing me, how I kind of detail in faces, get details on a textures form, and how I do hair at the end. The next video for this might be the last one for this drawing. I'm not sure how far. Oh yeah, remember the last one I said I was going to change your wings. I guess I did change the wings. As you can see in the thumbnail there. Again, I don't have time to record every little thing because these drawings take about 12 hours, and I don't want to have like 8 30-minute videos, or even if they're sped up double time, I don't want to have a bunch of 15-minute videos for one painting. So I just showed the major parts that I do. Anyway, take care, enjoy, and the next one where I start to color this should be up soon. Take it easy, guys.